Hi, everybody. I hope everybody's doing okay. I'm doing pretty good, not too bad at all. Things have been going good, and I've come back and I'm doing vlogs again and vlogs again. Like being busy and like commenting on stuff. Um, I was doing a comment really about the issue that happened regarding the Onion and their unfunny tweet last night about the 9-year-old actress uh, um, Quavane Janae Wallace. That's what I'm saying. That I got to figure out how to pronounce her name and stuff. But they're unfunny. Supposedly, as somebody said, supposedly edgy Twitter comment about a 9-year-old and calling her the C word, which is like real. How is that ever funny? And stuff, for a 9-year-old of any type, but particularly for, a, a little girl of color, which, you say, oh, they, bad. And yeah, nobody would have ever said that about, and I've never seen anybody say that about a white actress, child actress and stuff. So it was just bad. But really, I was coming at this from the aspect that a bunch of people were saying, well, it's no big deal, and why would you let words hurt you and all this stuff. And I'd really like people to stop with the bull crap about words don't hurt. They do hurt. It's called emotional abuse. That's what it's called. And the supposed joke that was in the Onion thing last night about her wasn't a joke. It was emotional abuse disguised as a joke, and it's a verbal assault. That's what it is. I'm calling it what it is. I'm calling emotional abuse out at every level because for some reason in this country, and probably in a bunch of others, but particularly in the United States, we don't want to call emotional abuse what it is, and we don't want to acknowledge the damage that emotional abuse does to people. We want to act like it's no big deal and all that stuff, but words do hurt. They hurt people in a significant way. They cause a lot of damage, and they can cause ongoing damage that people can internalize for the rest of their lives from words, hurtful words, and abusive verbal insults and emotional abuse that can come from people, especially when it comes to small children and stuff. All this about, oh, well, it's no big deal and all this stuff. And, I say this and I say that. If you're a person that uses those kinds of words towards children, even adults, I'm going to call you an emotional abusive person. That's what you are. You're emotionally abusive. And you're doing damage to people that you may not see or may not want to acknowledge, but they're feeling and stuff. And I just want to talk about this because I talk about emotional abuse and I've talked about it before a million times about emotional abuse and essentially what emotional abuse did to me in my past marriage, in my first marriage, and being married to somebody that was had a narcissistic personality disorder and was emotionally abusive, and what that did to me, and a lot of the stuff that I had to go through and therapy I had to seek after being emotionally abused, and how emotional abuse, is part of the first starting out of abuse that may end up turning into verbal abuse, sexual abuse, or physical abuse for many people and stuff. And what happened last night to that young lady was emotional abuse. Um, and stuff. You can fall down and you could try to defend it and call it satire and try to tell people they're overreacting. Nobody's overreacting about somebody calling a 9-year-old the C word. And I'm keep thinking, if they would have called her the N word, would everybody be running around trying to defend the Onion? I don't think so. So, two of the most worst words in the English language. One, used particularly just towards women, and another one used particularly just toward African American people. Yeah, there's not, there, it's not okay. Okay, it's not okay. You can't make it okay. You can't try to clean it up. You can't say it was a joke or whatever. Now, the Onion has apologized. They should have apologized. and stuff. And in this world of supposing everybody wants to be edgy and on the edge and all this stuff, and well, let's say what we want and everything, and if you're offended by my supposed joke, then you're too sensitive. You know what? If a joke's only funny to you, then it's not a joke. You know, um, if you couldn't tell that child that joke from the Onion last night that concerned her and have her laugh about it, then that's not a joke. That's not funny. Okay, just plain and simple. You know, and stuff. And I wanted to just read in particular about some of the damage that emotional abuse does. This is from my book, The Emotionally Abusive Relationship, and talking about how emotional abuse does so much damage to people, and how I just wish people would stop with the bull crap about it don't do damage and those words really don't hurt, and whatever. Okay, it does damage, and you see a lot of people everywhere who have been damaged by emotionally and verbally abusive relationships, and things with parents, teachers, and stuff. It does a lot of damage, and you could see that damage anywhere. I mean, you open up your eyes, you can see that damage all around you in many people and stuff. The primary effects of emotional abuse on the victim are depression, lack of motivation, confusion, difficulty concentrating or making decisions, low self-esteem, feelings of failure or worthlessness, feelings of hopelessness, self-blame, and self-destructiveness. Emotional abuse is like brainwashing in that it systematically wears away at the victim's self-confidence, sense of self-worth, trust in his or her perceptions, or self-concept. Whether it is a constant berating, belittling by intimidation, or under the guise of guidance or teaching, the results are similar. Eventually, the recipient loses all sense of self and all remnants of personal value. Abused partners tend either to take on the criticism and rejection of their partner, or to be in constant turmoil, wondering things like, am I bad as she or he makes me out to be, or is she or he just impossible to please? Should I stay in this relationship? Should I go? If I'm incompetent as they say I am, maybe I can't make it on my own. Maybe no one will ever love me again. Ultimately, given enough time, most victims of emotional abuse come not only to blame themselves for all the problems in the relationship, but also to believe that they are inadequate, contemptuous, or even unlovable. Emotional abuse is considered by many to be the most painful form of violence and the most detrimental to self-esteem. Emotional abuse cuts to the very core of a person, creating scars that may be longer lasting than physical ones. With emotional abuse, the insults, insinuations, criticism, and accusations slowly eat away at the victim's self-esteem until he or she is incapable of judging a situation realistically. They may begin to believe that there is something wrong with them, or even fear that they're losing their mind. They may become so beaten down emotionally that they blame themselves for the abuse. So yeah, words do hurt, and they hurt people deeply. And this talk of somehow words not hurting just really makes me upset, because it's the one thing that people don't want to acknowledge is emotional abuse. And the fact that this happened to this young woman, but people are being emotionally abused all the time, everywhere. Children with parents, parents with children, husband and wives, girlfriends and boyfriends. This is happening all the time. Bosses and workers, people are being emotionally abused all the time. And it has been so normalized that when it happened to a 9-year-old child in a Twitter comment, a bunch of people dismissed it as nothing. That's how normal it is that someone can do it to a 9-year-old child and people not even recognize what they see as emotional abuse. That's how used to it that we've gotten. That's how normal that we think it is. But it's not normal. It's doing damage. Okay? The hope is that this child will never see this or hear about this, and stuff. But there are a lot of people that this is happening to in their face all the time. And people are saying this in all sorts of relationships. And it's verbal abuse, in a lot of ways disguised as jokes. And once again, let me say that if you think it's funny and nobody else thinks it's funny, or the person that you're talking about doesn't think it's funny, it's not funny. It's not a joke. You're being abusive. That's what you're doing. And I'm calling it out, and I'm calling anybody out that does it, and I'm calling all the people out, the people who don't seem to get that, yeah, you can abuse people via a joke, and stuff. And that, once again, if you couldn't tell this child what the Onion said about her last night to her, then really there's nothing funny and nothing joking and nothing okay about this situation. So I'm saying this to once again bring attention to emotional abuse, you know, that people seem to act like is no big deal. But it really is. It's a big, big deal. And as I just read, it does a lot of damage to people, long-term damage to people, for people who continuously are under it. It does quite a lot of damage to people and stuff. And so it's not okay. It's certainly not okay for you to do it to children. It's not funny. It's not a joke. It's not cute. And some people should have been really mad, or a lot of people should have been really mad. But in this world where everybody thinks they have the right to say whatever they want to say, and be damned the results, or be damned your right to, to not have it said about you, that part doesn't matter. Um, you know, it's my right to say what I want, all these rights, and of course no responsibilities. In this country, that seems to be the premise. That, somebody is doing this and thinking it's a joke and thinking it's satire. And I've followed the Onion on Twitter for a long time. And, like many, seen what was once satire and funny turn into sort of, junky mush, and crappy stuff, and stuff, and people disguising meanness as joking, and it's not. Um, Especially when it comes to a 9-year-old little child. Now, say what you will, say what you want, but I'm calling it. I'm calling what it is. What it is. It's emotional abuse, a verbal assault and verbal abuse disguised as a joke. And it's not funny, and it's not okay. So that's just my comment about the whole situation. That's all as I'm going to have to say for now. Of course, I've unfollowed the Onion, and to hope to never have to see this happen to anybody else's child anywhere, and people think it's okay, or it's funny. So that's my opinion for today. All right. So I'll see you guys later. Bye bye.